Hi, I'm Anne Marie, and I've been a CPA for 30 years. And there's a few things I'd like to tell you about today that could really make a difference in your practice if you should build one day. Out of college, I went to work for KPMG, and I loved working for them because the training was fantastic. But the hours were long and a lot of hard work. About 5 years into being at KPMG, I became a single parent. And I found that as the years went by, it became more and more difficult to be able to work the kind of hours they required. And I thought, how do I make this work for me in my life so that I can make a living? Let's get real. Only about 1% of the CPAs that work for the large auditing companies actually get to partner. So what do the rest of us do? How do we make a living once we've been either burnt out or life demands that we spend less time at work? Well, I chose to start my own CPA firm, and I actually started it from scratch, from nothing. So I had to actually go out and do something that I'd never done with a large accounting firm, and that was get my own clients. A couple of things that I learned over the years that might be really helpful for you is that when clients call you and they may want your services and they ask you either the scope of your work or the amount of your fees over the phone, I found from experience that if I answered that question over the phone, I probably got maybe a quarter of those clients come in my door. But if after I failed at that a few times, I took another approach. I said, I'll meet you at Starbucks. Let's have a cup of coffee. Let's talk about what you need. I'll let you meet me, and then I can meet you, and then we can talk about what it is we can do together. I found if I got into that kind of environment that over 90% of the people that I met at Starbucks became my client. Here's what you do at Starbucks. I always get there early. I always sit so I'm looking at the door, and I watch them come in the door. And the first thing I do is get eye contact. I give them a big smile, I stand up, I walk over, and we have a wonderful handshake. Sometimes it's two of them. Sometimes the owner will bring their spouse or their accountant. So right away we shake hands and we get an immediate rapport. As people begin to open up to you, I always make sure that I have a notepad and I'm making notes about little things or questions to ask them later or important points that they may have. I eventually try to find out what their next step is in their accounting function or their tax needs. What do they need to have done next? Is it their tax return? If so, when? I make a note of that, and I try to incorporate that into my closing statement, which comes out as, well, I'll call you in a couple of weeks and we can get together and see when we can get started on that project. I always assume the sale. That's why I move right into setting up some sort of an appointment to get to the work. I would say 90% of the time, I move smoothly into the close and they accept that and we exchange phone numbers and cards and we're on our way. Approximately 10% of the time, you'll get a different reaction like, well, wait a sec, gotta slow down, how much do you charge, anything like that, and I just let those go. Based on my experience, if you don't get a connection after this type of meeting, then you just haven't connected, and you need to not waste your time or follow up or worry about them any longer.